Hello everyone, this is Glenda Winkleman and welcome back to Creative Grandma. I have another Stitch of the Week. This one is a special request from one of my subscribers who is having trouble with this stitch, so I went ahead and did a quick video. This is a pretty easy stitch and a pretty fun stitch. It's a reversible stitch that's the same on the front as on the back, so the puffy shells will also be puffy on the other side. This is number 227, called the Puff Shell Stitch. It has a multiple of 6 plus 10. So I have 3 samples to show you, like always. So let me begin with this first sample. This sample here is made using Red Heart Super Saver, and I used the color Melonberry. This is a really pretty multicolored yarn. It's number 0942. So I mixed the Melonberry with medium purple, and this is number 0528. So this is the purple in between. I did 1 row of purple and then 1 row of the Melonberry. Very, very pretty pattern. This would also look really pretty with white because it would really accent it with contrasting colors. Now this is the front, and when you turn it on the back, the purple shells will be predominant on the back side. So if you look, I didn't weave in my ends. The purple shells are predominant on this side, and you can see how they puff out. So it's reversible, so whatever stitch is on row 1 will be predominant on that side, and whatever stitch is row 2 will be predominant on the even side. So very, very pretty stitch. My second sample is, of course, the classic white. Not sure how good that's showing up. You can see the puff shells sticking up a little bit. That's the front, and that's the back. So basically this would look the same either way because you're using a solid color. This sample was made using Red Heart Super Saver in color number 311 white. And then for my third sample, I used one of the self-striping yarns. I wanted to get all the colors in, but I just couldn't do it. This is a yarn by Red Heart as well. This is the Super Saver Stripes, and this color is Fruity Stripes, number 4962. And as you can see, I didn't get to the yellow, but this is what it looks like so far. The gradual color changes are just beautiful. Just the way these designers are putting these self-striping yarns together, they're gorgeous. It takes all the hard work out. They pick the perfect colors. You just crochet, none of that changing color stuff, and it's all like pre-designed for us. So this is the front. You turn it over, and it almost looks the same on the back because it's the colors. But you can see how beautiful this puff stitch is. It just adds a really nice, beautiful texture. So for our sample today, you're going to need to chain 22. That is a multiple of 6 twice for 12, and then we're adding the 10 to give us the 22. Now I'm using light raspberry, Red Heart Super Saver light raspberry, and I'm also going to use the Red Heart Super Saver turquoise. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this pattern done in the 2 colors. I'm using 2 solid colors, but our swatch today will be changing colors in each row. So go ahead and get your chain 22 ready. I believe I'm using a size 10J crochet hook or a 6mm, but you can use whatever yarn and whatever hook you would like. So get that ready, chain 22, and I'll be right back to show you this wonderful stitch. I have my chain 22 ready, and we're going to start row 1, which is our base row. So to start row 1, we're going to begin with 2 double crochet into the 4th chain from hook. So to work a double crochet, you're going to put the yarn over your hook. You're going to skip the first, the second, the third chain, and you're going to insert your hook into that fourth chain from hook. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. Yarn over the hook and pull it through the chain. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. So you crocheted into the fourth chain, which means you skipped 3 chain, and this beginning chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. So the instructions say 2 double crochet into the fourth chain from hook, so we need to work 1 more double crochet into the same chain. So yarn over the hook, insert it into the same chain 4, yarn over the hook and pull it through that chain. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. So you just worked your 2 double crochet into the fourth chain from hook, and with your beginning chain 3 counts as 3 double crochet. So now we're going to skip two chain. Sometimes my mouth wants to get ahead of myself when I'm working. You're going to skip 2 chain, and you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch and work a single crochet. So insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over the hook, bring it through the chain. Yarn over the hook and bring it through 2 loops. You just made your single crochet. So now we're going to skip 2 more chain, and then we're going to start our repeat. So skip 2 chain, and then we're going to work our puff shell, and the shell stitch is just 5 double crochet worked in the same stitch. So it's not a complicated stitch. You're just working 5 double crochet into that next chain. So yarn over the hook. You're going to skip 1, 2 chain. You're going to insert your hook into that next chain. Yarn over the hook and pull it through the chain. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. That is your first double crochet of the 5 that you need. So yarn over the hook, insert it into that same chain stitch, yarn over the hook and pull it through the chain. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You now made your second double crochet of the 5 needed for the shell stitch. So yarn over the hook, insert it into that same chain, yarn over the hook, pull it through the chain stitch, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You now made 3 double crochet of the 5 needed. So we need to make 2 more double crochet in the same chain space. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that same chain space, yarn over the hook and pull it through the chain. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You now have 4 double crochet of the 5 needed. So yarn over the hook, insert it into that same chain stitch, yarn over the hook and pull it through the chain. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. So this is your first shell stitch. And what happens is when you're working this pattern, I'm going to pull this down. You're working, let me see if here's your base row. This is row 1. So these aren't really puffy yet. They'll be flat. So when you come back and work row 2, I'll flip it over. This is row 2. What happens is when you work these shell stitches, you're working in the back loop only, and that makes it puff out. So every time you come back and work in those back loops, it puffs the previous row out. So very beautiful stitch. I didn't mean to interrupt this row to do that, but I kind of wanted to let you know that this is going to lay flat on your first base row. Row 2 will help make that puff out. So this is normal for this to be flat. So, okay, we're going to skip the next 2 chain, 1, 2, and we're going to work our single crochet into the next chain. So insert your hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through the chain, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. Now from this point out, I'm just going to say the stitches because I worked them in detail here. So for time purposes, I'm just going to say double crochet and single crochet. So the pattern repeat is you're going to skip the next two chain, and you're going to work your 5 double crochet into this next chain. So yarn over the hook, insert it into that chain, and work your first double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert your hook into that same chain stitch, and work your second double crochet of your shell. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that same chain space, and work your third double crochet of your shell. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that same chain space, and work your fourth double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that same chain, and work your fifth and final double crochet of that shell stitch. So far you have your beginning half shell of 3 double crochet. You should have a single crochet, your 5 double crochet shell, a single crochet, and a 5 double crochet shell. We're going to skip the next 2 chain. So you're going to skip 1, 2, and you're going to work a single crochet into that next chain. So insert your hook and work a single crochet. Now if this was a longer foundation chain, and say you're making a baby afghan or a larger afghan, you can see the repeat pattern. It would be you begin with your half 3 double crochet shell, and your repeat is the single, skip 2 chain, single crochet, skip 2 chain, your 5 double crochet puff stitch shell, skip 2 chain, a single crochet, skip 2 chain, and a shell. And that would be your repeat from here to here across. You would work over until you got to the last 3 chain. So you're at the end of row 1. You're going to skip the next 2 chain, and you're going to work 3 double crochet into this last chain. And the reason you do that is because you want your beginning to match your ending. So yarn over the hook, skip the next 2 chain, and insert your hook into that last chain, yarn over, and work your first double crochet. Yarn over your hook, insert it into that same last chain, and work your second double crochet. Now for your last double crochet, how you end this row all depends on what you're going to do. If you're going to work in one solid color, you would just yarn over the hook and you would work your last double crochet. You would finish it that way. If you want to change colors, if you do not like knots, now I'm a knot tyer, so I'm going to show you the 3 different ways to do it. I just showed you the first. If you're working in a solid color, you just finish your stitch and you start your second row. If you do not like knots, you will take your yarn. I leave about a 3-inch piece for weaving in. I just let that hang. I put it to the back of my work. You're going to just wrap that yarn around your hook, and then you're going to pull it through the last 2 loops. And if you look, you can see how your last stitch finished in the correct color, and your new color come up to start the beginning of row 2. That is how you join your colors. You can leave this yarn hang back here. You can weave it in, well, you would have to crochet a little bit. After you finish this row, you can just weave it in as you go, or you do it when you're all finished with your work. Now me, I am a knot tyer. I can't help it. I just like to know my work secure. So what I do is I just fasten off my work. I pull that last stitch through. I cut my yarn and I just pull that yarn through twice, and then I pull it down, and that's my knot. Now when you work borders and stuff, I've never had a problem with knots because when I weave in my work, I don't see my knots. I guess it all depends on your method. So yes, I secure my work with knots. Okay, I'll be right back to start row 2. I'm at the end of row 1. I'm just getting ready to turn my work and start row 2. Now previously I just showed you the different ways of finishing your row depending on whether you're a knot tire or you just join your new color by pulling it through the last 2 loops. I'm a knot tire. I'm turning my work. And I do have an awful tickle in my throat tonight, so I'm going to be coughing and clearing my throat. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why my throat's so dry. I'm going to insert my hook into the top of that beginning double crochet. I leave about a 3-inch length. And I'm just going to pull that new color through. So for row 2, we're going to chain 1. And what I do is when I work my first stitch, I work it over this thread. We're going to work a single crochet into the top of this beginning double crochet. So we already made our chain 1. You're going to bring your hook around and go into that same top of that stitch, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, yarn over, and pull it through 2 loops. You just made your first single crochet in the beginning double crochet. So if you're not sure where that stitch is, just pull it out like this and make sure you're going into the top of that stitch. So for this pattern, we're going to be working our shell stitches into the back loop only of this next single crochet. So the instructions read, working in back loop only, shell in back loop of next single crochet. Now a lot of times some of the new people get confused because we have all these stitches in between. So when the instructions read that and you have these stitches, you just automatically skip them. So when you're looking for your next shell, your next single crochet, here's your shell, your half shell that you started with, and here's your next full shell. Well, you work those single crochet in between the beginning half shell and the next shell. And then you worked your single crochet between the shells. So if you're not sure, just pull that out a little or go down, and this is the last stitch of that shell. You can see that double crochet, and you can see that this is the first stitch. So if that's the last stitch and this is the first stitch, your single crochet is between it. So what you do is you just look for these 2 little legs down here of the single crochet. And if you have to stretch your work, pull it apart. Right there's your single crochet right here. The shell stitch is just 5 double crochet, but instead of working in both loops, you're going to work in this back loop here. So you're going to skip the front loop. You're going to insert your hook right in the center of that stitch and out through the back of that loop. So just the back loop only. Okay, so yarn over the hook. Insert your hook into the back loop only of that next single crochet and work your first double crochet. Once you have your first double crochet made, you're going to work the other 4 double crochet into the same space right here. So it makes it easy. You just keep putting those double crochet in the same spot. So yarn over the hook and work your second double crochet in that same space. Or stitch, in that same single crochet. Yarn over the hook and work your third double crochet in that back loop of that same single crochet stitch. Yarn over the hook, insert your hook into that same back loop of that same single crochet and work your 4th double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that same back loop of that same single crochet and work your 5th and final double crochet of that shell. And it kind of like, what do I want to say, recessed. It's kind of like recessed behind these 2 shells. Now when I work another one you'll see, but as you can see it's kind of like going behind these just a touch. And that's what makes this stand out on this side. And when you flip it, it makes this one stand out on the other side. That's why it's a reversible pattern, because you kind of get the same effect on both sides. So now we're going to single crochet into the center double crochet of the next shell. So if you're new to reading instructions, you just follow it step by step. So you're going to, I lost my spot in the instructions. You're going to single crochet into the center double crochet. So you have 5 double crochet. So the center double crochet would be the third. So follow that double crochet up to the center top of that shell, insert your hook, and work your single crochet. And this is your repeat starting. You're going to work your shell stitch in the back loop of the next single crochet. When you get that made, then you're going to jump up here and you're going to work a single crochet in the center double crochet of the next shell. So we're going to work a repeat again. You're going to look for that single crochet, which is right here. It's going to be between your shell stitches. So here's the last stitch of this shell, the first stitch of that shell. So this is your single crochet. Look for the 2 little legs or the V, and that you know that's your single crochet. Follow it up to the top. This is your front loop. Turn your work and you can see the back loop. Let me see if I can show this better. Front loop, back loop. You're going to insert your hook into that space and out through the back of that back loop. So you're going to work your 5 double crochet in the back loop of that single crochet, yarn over the hook, insert it into that back loop of that single crochet, and work your first double crochet of the shell. You're going to put the yarn over your hook. You're going to insert it into that same back loop of that same single crochet and work your second double crochet of your shell. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that same back loop of that same single crochet and work your third double crochet of that shell. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet, yarn over the hook, pull it through the stitch, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet stitch and work your 5th and final double crochet of that shell. So you can kind of see the repeat starting. Single crochet shell, single crochet shell. We're going to go over here and we're going to work our single crochet into the center of the next shell stitch. The center of the next shell would be the 3rd stitch. You have 2 here, 2 here, the 3rd is your center. Follow that stitch up to the top and work your single crochet. Now, you're looking here and we're at the end of the row, so you have a full shell. You're going to have a single crochet and you will have a half shell of 3 double crochet. So you're going to work a full shell stitch into the back loop of this last single crochet across. So this will be a full shell here. Yarn over the hook. You're going to go down, find your single crochet. Here's your front loop, here's your back. Insert right in the center and work out the back of that back loop and work your first double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet and work your second double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet stitch and work your third double crochet of your shell. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet and work your 4th double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet stitch and work your 5th and final double crochet of that last shell stitch. So now we're over and you'll see that you have 3 double crochet remaining. You have 2 double crochet and you have your ending chain 3. we're going to follow this ending chain 3 up to the top. You're going to insert your hook into that top of that ending chain 3, and you're going to pull your yarn through. If you are working in one color, you just finish your stitch. If you want to change the color without tying knots, you bring your new color over. You wrap that color around your hook and you pull it through the 2 loops. You can see that it finishes your last stitch in the right appropriate color. This is a little loose. And then it brings your color up to start the next row. Now you can choose to weave your ends in as you go, or you can just let them hang and weave them in when you're done with your work. Like I said, I'm a knot tyer. I'm going to finish my stitch. I'm going to fasten off, and I put the yarn over the hook twice, and then I pull it down and tie my knot. So this is what row 2 should look like, and row 2 is the start of your repeat rows. Now this is a 2-row repeat. You will be repeating rows 2 and 3. Now row 3 is almost the same as row 2. Well, actually it's like row 1, only you're working in stitches instead of chains. But row 3, you will be working your stitches. Your half shell will be here. Your single crochet will be in the center of the shell. Your full shell, single crochet in the center. So that would be your repeat. So let's begin row 3. I'm going to turn my work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my work and pull my new color through, and we're going to start row 3. So remember, anytime you're working a shell stitch, whether it's a half shell, the beginning half shell, or the full shell, you always work in the back loop. So you're going to turn your work. I'm going to join my yarn, and this is only for the, let me think, this is the odd rows. The even rows you start with a single crochet, so this only pertains to the odd rows. So every odd row you're going to join in the back loop only, if you're changing colors. Well, even if you're not, you need to go in that back loop. So I'm going to pull my blue through, and like I said, the back loop only. You're going to pull that new color through, and you're going to chain 3. Now we need 2 more double crochet in this beginning single crochet stitch, and you need to work the other 2 in the back loop as well. So yarn over the hook, insert it into that same back loop, and I work my stitches over this little piece of yarn I have in the back, and work your first double crochet. Yarn over the hook, and you're going to work your second double crochet into that same back loop. So this is your front, you need to go into that back loop and work your second double crochet. And this creates your half shell that starts your round. So now we're going to go over and we're going to work a single crochet into the center double crochet of our next shell, and this goes into both loops. The only stitch that goes into the back loop is the shell stitches. So work your single crochet into that center double crochet of that shell. And then we're going to jump over to our single crochet, and we're going to work our shell stitch into the back loop of that single crochet. You go right down through the center of that stitch and out through the back. So yarn over the hook, insert into the back loop of that next single crochet between your shells, and work your first double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet, and work your second double crochet. yarn over the hook, insert it into that same back loop of that same single crochet and work your third double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that same back loop of that same single crochet and work your fourth double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet and work your fifth and final double crochet of that shell. And you can see that your pattern's starting, your single crochet and your shell, and you can kind of see how that's puffing out. You can see how they puff on that row. So now we're going to jump over and we're going to work our single crochet into the center double crochet of that next shell. So find your center double crochet, which is the third double crochet, follow it to the top and work your single crochet. Now you're going to look for your next single crochet, which is between the shell stitches. This is your shell, this is your single crochet, and this is your next shell. So you're going to work your shell stitch into the back loop of that next single crochet, which is here. So yarn over the hook, insert it into that back loop of that single crochet and work your first double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet and work your second double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet and work your third double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that back loop of that same single crochet and work your fourth double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into the back loop of that same single crochet and work your fifth and final double crochet of that shell stitch. So again, you can see your repeat pattern. You have your single crochet, your shell, single crochet, shell. So now we're going to go over and we're going to work a single crochet into the top of the center double crochet. So there's 5 double crochet. You need to find the center one, which is the third. Follow it to the top and work your single crochet. So you're at the end of your row. So now we're going to end the row the same as we started it with a 3 double crochet half shell. So you're going to come over to this ending single crochet. You're going to put the yarn over your hook and you're going to go into the back loop. Here's the front, there's the back, insert right down through the center and out the back of that back loop and work your first double crochet. You're going to put the yarn over, you're going to go into that same back loop of that last stitch and you're going to work your second double crochet. Now, to work your last double crochet, it's your choice how you want to change colors. If you're working in a solid color, you just finish your stitch and work that last double crochet and you start your next row if you're working in one color. If you're working in 2 colors, if you don't want to tie the knot, you just take your new color, put it across the top of your hook and pull it through. Your last stitch ends perfectly with the color you're working on and the new row starts with the color that you're going to use. And again, you can weave these ends in as you go or you can do it when you're finished. So I'm a knot tire. I think everybody knows that by now. I just can't help it. Yarn over. I fasten off my work. And I do just like the previous row. I turn my work. I insert my hook into both loops since it's the single crochet row. If it's a single crochet row, you're going to go through both loops and pull your color through. If your row starts with the half double crochet shell, you insert through the back loop only. So rows 2 and 3 is the repeat rows. You can kind of see how that's puffing out. It's such a pretty stitch. Once you do a couple rows of this, you can breeze right through this. This is a really kind of simple pattern once you do it a couple times. So this is my sample. It's a very good example of what it would look like when you use really high contrasting colors. And I love the multicolor coming and popping out and using that purple as the background color. So again, this is stitch pattern 227, the puff shell stitch. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Stitch of the Week with this beautiful stitch pattern. And please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, happy crocheting, everybody!